Hello, Internet, and thank you for joining me today on this somber occasion. I just want to drop the mask a little bit and let everyone in because I feel like I have to make a statement on this. So, earlier today, the day that I'm recording this, I woke up like normal. I normally wake up around 4:30 to go work out, and the first thing I normally do is normal stuff, get up, go to the bathroom, all that jazz. And I check my phone like almost everyone does. And when I checked my phone, I saw I got a message from a friend. And I don't hear from this friend every day or even once a week. I only hear from him every few months. We try to stay in touch, but it's hard because life gets busy and we both have jobs and everything. But he had messaged me because he was up later than I was, and he had heard about Akira Toriyama passing away. And me and him are both massive fans of Dragon Ball Z, Chrono Trigger, basically anything this guy's ever done, we were there for. Like we wanted to be a part of it at least. And yeah, that was a massive gut punch. And honestly, the part that hurt the most was that when I sat down to confirm it, because, sometimes me and him will prank each other with something, but normally not like this. But I still wanted to confirm it for myself. So I did what any sane person would do. And I Googled it. And when I Googled it, the first thing that came up was died March 1. And for clarification, I'm recording this on March 8th. So I thought I had missed his death by an entire week. And honestly, that hit me really hard. The idea that I would be so out of touch that I didn't see him pass for an entire week. I guess luckily, if you want to say anything about this is lucky, but luckily I later learned throughout the day as I've been going through news stories and articles and hearing what other people have had to say, I learned that the information was kept from us, that everything hadn't come out until last night, the 7th. So I guess we can kind of look at it as we got a week of blissful ignorance before we learned. And I really just kind of felt compelled all day to say something about the man's life. He's been a huge, I don't want to say inspiration, because it's not like I've followed his life and his work specifically that have inspired me to do everything in my life, but his work has inspired me to do so much in my life that I can't not say inspired. But anyway, let me just get into this. So I've been trying to script this basically all day, and every time I start something, I end up deleting it, or I rewrite it on the fly, or I just start over with a whole blank page. I've done that like 3 times. So I'm just kind of going off on a ramble here, and I'm going to try to keep my thoughts as concise as possible while at the same time rambling on. I wouldn't say like I normally do, because this isn't in character. This isn't going to be something that I make jokes about. This isn't going to be something that I'm trying to be lighthearted about. Just to come out and say it, we all grew up on Toonami. Everybody that's in your mid 20s to early 40s, we all grew up on Toonami. That's where we all started. And the undisputed king of Toonami was always Dragon Ball Z. It didn't matter when you started watching it. Dragon Ball Z was the number one show for all of us. And it was a really unique time to be around because it's a situation where the IP Dragon Ball was omnipresent here in the States, but at the same time, you couldn't find it anywhere. You were never going to go to a Walmart or a Kroger's or a Toys R Us even for the longest time, and you weren't going to find Dragon Ball Z merchandise, but we were all talking about it. I know that Toys R Us and a few of these other places ended up getting Dragon Ball Z merch, and hell, even now we can go to a local Walmart and get a DBZ shirt. But that wasn't the case at the time. But we all knew the storylines. It was something that it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you were a girl. It didn't matter if you were the weird kid. It didn't matter if you were the jock popular kid. We all knew what Dragon Ball Z was, and we could all kind of talk about it. And for a lot of us, we wanted to talk about it. I've been thinking a lot today about that scene at the end of Fear and Loathing where Johnny Depp's character is sitting there talking about San Diego or San Francisco in the 60s, where basically the breakdown of the scene is that you just had to be there. And he has a line where he says, with the right kind of eyes, you can look out and see where the wave that they were all riding finally broke and rolled back. And that really feels like where we're at as far as I don't know what you want to call this community. We'll call it the nerd community, the geek community, the anime community. I feel like Dragon Ball Z in particular permeated so much of culture. I mean, and Toriyama's influence, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but Toriyama's influence permeated anime, books, literature, video games, everything. He touched so much. And with him passing, it just cements in my head that we're no longer part of that time. That the time of just being an anime fan is over, and anime is so culturally ubiquitous in the West. And in particular, where I'm from, here in the dead center of the United States, we now have something that is, I don't want to say better or worse. It's just different than what it was. And we're never going to get that back. We're all too segmented into, for lack of a better term, fandoms. So that you're a fan of an individual show as opposed to the medium as a whole, where we used to be able to, when we said that we were anime fans, we were talking about all of anime. And that's not true anymore, because the way that anime is produced and made and fed to us through streaming and all these other things, it doesn't allow us to be fans. Back when Dragon Ball Z ruled the roost, it was king of the hill, they only provided so many anime to us at a time. So we could all join in one conversation about literally everything. But now there's just too much. And I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here. I think that's a wonderful thing. I think it's great that there are so many shows that it appeals to so many different people and we can all come together. but it is just heartbreaking in a respect because we all can't share in one conversation anymore. But looking forward into it, I don't feel bad that this is happening. I feel like it's a good thing ultimately, but at the same time, I would like to take today, and I guess with this video, a moment to just mourn what is no longer, what we don't need anymore, at least. I swear this is going to be the most rambly video I've made yet. And I just did a 4-minute video yesterday about Movie Bob that I had recorded and edited inside of like 20 minutes. But I just have to get something out about this, and I can't. I have to do it today, I feel like, because the news is so fresh and everything. I feel everything so personally right now. But at the same time, I know that at some point I'd like to do a full video on maybe Akira Toriyama's work. Maybe I'll do like a series of videos on that, because that's way too much for one video. I could probably do dozens of videos just on Dragon Ball Z, but I digress. I'd like to wrap up my thoughts here on this one, and my, I guess, tribute to, or I don't know what I'm going to call this video, but I'm just trying to get some thoughts out about him and try to convey how special everything he did was to me, especially. But to end everything off here, to put a final bow on this, I did want to share one story. And the irony is that it's not even like my story per se, because when I first started going to anime conventions and trying to open myself up to the world around me, I went to a panel, and I don't remember who was talking about it, but they were just talking about Toonami. It was the point in time where Toonami was off the air. Adult Swim was doing some anime stuff on like Saturday, but they weren't doing the Tom stuff yet. They hadn't brought him back. And it was that brief period of time where we were all just kind of hoping Toonami would come back. And the person was talking about their relationship with Toonami and how they had been sitting there doing homework at their house, and they were having a really hard time with, I don't know, fractions or whatever it was. And they're sitting there struggling with it, and they've got the TV on in the background like all of us millennials had in the day. And he sees Goku, and he's really struggling. He's, getting beat down by Frieza, and he just keeps getting up. And the guy describes how in that moment, he just felt so empowered seeing Goku get up and continue on, even though he knew it was hard. And that gave him the courage to get back into his homework and really study hard. And he finished his homework that night, and everything was fine. But that story just resonated so much with me, because I know I had that exact same experience, because I didn't have cable growing up, but every now and again I would end up at my grandparents who did have cable, and I'd be doing my homework at their house. And I vividly remember that exact scenario, the exact moments that, I'm doing my homework and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to do this anymore. But then you see Goku get up again, and it's like, all right, I can go do my homework because this guy's literally getting his ass kicked. And here I am just complaining about pushing a pencil around some paper. And I can't think of another thing in my life that was as culturally resonating across almost every demographic as Dragon Ball Z. And I just, I have to put my voice out there to say, Akira Toriyama, thank you.